today we're in the city, and I'm off to see Tammy Parler to see what a Hapkido class actually looks like in action. Oh. So, never seen one before. I'll see you in there.
My name's Tammy Parler. I'm a Hapkido instructor, full-time Hapkido instructor. I run my own Hapkido school in London. I've been training in Hapkido under Grandmaster Gedo Chang for about 24 years now. So I started when I was 12 years old. I've got my interview voice on. Gotta get rid of that. Hapkido is a Korean martial art of self-defense, but the word Hapkido is actually made up of 3 Korean words. Hap means coordination, coordination of mind and body, or total concentration. Ki means inner power, and Do means discipline. So actually Hapkido is a Korean martial art of self-defense that emphasizes the coordination of mind and body through disciplined life. Many of the arts specialize in certain areas, and Hapkido's one of the few arts that actually encompass everything. So it's got the kicking and punching that you'd find in karate or taekwondo, but also throws, pressure points, joint manipulation, weapon techniques, also meditation, the whole philosophy side as well. So it's very much a complete art. It's very much also self-defense oriented. It doesn't have competitions or isn't sport oriented at all. So people come to learn for a variety of reasons. Some for physical fitness, some for self-defense reasons, some for the whole mind-body angle. But for whatever reason they come, all of them find out that there's actually a much deeper level to Hapkido. Stand up. Face flag. A lot of people have asked me why I started, and to be honest, I really don't know. All I remember is Christmas. Sometime we were over at a friend's house, and the friend, Sharon, and I both decided that we wanted to do karate. I have no idea where this decision came from. I can't remember seeing any martial art movies, hearing anything about martial arts at all, but we suddenly decided we wanted to do it. And my father's secretary at the time was studying Hapkido under Master Chang, and said, "Oh, Tammy can come along with me. Master Chang's great. Why don't you come and check him out?" So I went there about a week later with my mom, and within 15 minutes had signed up, was in the uniform, and was doing sidekicks. And I've been with Master Chang ever since. He's like a second father to me. He's been incredibly influential in my life, and is an amazing, amazing man. I wouldn't even dream about training with anybody else. Traditionally, one chooses an instructor for life, and I know a lot of people, they jump around, they train with all different sorts of people, and that, to be honest, I'm not interested in that. I've found an amazing instructor, and I know I can, every time I'm with him, I learn something else. I think, wow, I've got this sorted, but then this again, I didn't realize, I didn't understand before, now I understand, and next, now I understand. So I know there's so much more to learn. Why do something else when there's still so much more to learn in what I'm currently doing? Master Chang is about 64, 65. He grew up in Korea, obviously. His father was a Buddhist monk. He grew up in a monastery until his early 20s. When he was in his early 20s, he came down from the mountains where he was, and he travelled around America to find the best place in order to set up a school in America, and settled in the Chicago suburbs. He wanted to share his teachings around the world, and in order to do that needed to leave Korea and come out to the West. It's funny, as I've grown up obviously listening to his stories and hearing him teach, all that sort of thing for very much of my impressionable years, and I find when I'm teaching and relating the stories or even correcting techniques, I'll start talking like Master Chang, and he's obviously his English is his second language, he's Korean, and probably if I say another story I'll start maybe missing certain words or just talking in a Korean American sort of way. The one thing I was absolutely terrified and was really really cut me up about leaving America, because I had immigration problems which forced me back to England, and obviously very upset about leaving my family over there. But I knew I'd see them again. I knew that that would be all right, even though it'd be a long way away in a different country. I wouldn't lose them. I was so worried that I would not be able to do Hapkido anymore, and it was earth-shattering, the fact that this thing that was so much my identity was not going to be possible anymore. And I hadn't been over in England too long, and I remember writing a letter expressing that to Master Chang, just how much this huge thing of my life had just, and I didn't know what to do, I didn't know how to overcome that. I remember writing him this letter and mailing it to him next day, delivery. So he got it, immediately telephoned me up. Tamya, add a ya on the end, that's very familiar. Tamya, you start a club, I come over.
Tammy, hi. How are you?
Hi, nice to see you again.
And you? Good. Well, I'm here for my one-to-one, so you can go through the basics of what Hapkido is.
Super, okay. There are 3 Hapkido principles, what we call Fa, One, and Yu. That's the Korean pronunciation. Fa means non-resistance or harmony. Actually, if you're totally in harmony with your opponent, there'll be no sort of conflict at all. That's the ideal scenario.
The ideal scenario.
Absolutely. But let's say there is some sort of conflict happens. In Hapkido, we don't meet force with force. The idea is to totally be harmonized with the actual technique. For instance, if you were to push, for instance, to push back at you means a huge amount of strength on my part, and to be honest, you're a lot stronger than I am. In this situation, if you push, then much easier for me to pull. So it enables someone who is much not as strong as their opponent to get control of the situation.
Yeah, to use their strength against them.
Absolutely. So you're harmonizing with the energy. After harmonizing with the energy, we look to redirect that motion in order to get control of the situation. The second Hapkido principle is One. One means circular movement. In Hapkido, we use circular movement an awful lot in order to redirect people's energy.
Yeah.
If you think about linear motion, in order to make movements, to change your direction of travel in linear motion takes a lot of effort. Circular motion takes a lot less effort in order to redirect. So, for instance, after you would, let's say you push this way, we would harmonize with the movement and then perhaps redirect in order to get control of the situation using circular movement.
Oh, right, yeah. That's nice. I like because you actually change the direction of the circle as well.
Absolutely, and it takes a lot less effort to do that.
Okay.
The third of the principles is Yu, which is water principle. And if you think of, what does water mean to you? When you think of water, what's...
Bath time.
Bathtub. For me, I think of a stream. A stream constantly flowing. So within the techniques, constant throwing movement instead of staccato, start, stop, start, stop.
Yeah.
So firstly, when students start, the idea is to really understand these concepts at a physical level, but later actually in an ideal situation is the student slowly begins to realize that these principles actually relate to our daily lives as well.
Yeah, so you kind of teach them the philosophy through the physical movements at first.
Spot on.
So what would you like me to demonstrate?
You come to push, for instance.
One or two.
Yeah, one hand push. I harmonize with the movement, then redirect circular motion.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's nice. I've never seen that one before.
Have you not?
No, it's strange. Can you say that again? So I got to push. Yeah, and you actually had a hand lock on there, didn't you?
Yeah,
hand lock's in.
Everything bent.
Yeah. That means pain. Yeah. Not that when I was in the physio the other day, when I was going like that and it just kept going. And he said I didn't know what you meant. Anyway, sorry.
Some other simple moves, for instance. Let's grab
What are you going for?
this side. Let's go this side, for instance.
Oh.
What are
Yeah,
the
I suppose you want to. Yeah, that's a good one.
just simple joint locking
So,
maneuvers.
so a grab.
You want to see that again?
No, no, no.
Okay. Similar sort of.
Because you're actually not putting any strength
No, very little.
into this, are you? It just
Not very
hurts.
little. I can tell you're tensing a little bit your joint, so a little less malleable to.
Well, that's
the
fair.
more, yeah, absolutely. The more you tense your joints, the more painful, the more power I have to use, and then the more painful it becomes.
Yes, it's,
So I try to teach my students to totally relax, be like a floppy ragdoll almost, and that way they don't hurt their joints too much. If they're tensing all the time, then joint pain, maybe they have to take a few weeks out of training and so forth. A lot of my students are professional people, so if they go to work with their arm in a sling or a broken nose and this sort of thing, that's not what it's about.
So the more aggressive my actions are, the more pain I'm going to inflict upon myself,
absolutely,
basically.
yeah. Okay, Hapkido punch, basic punch. So in order using body movement, in some of the martial arts, they're quite linear movements, and everything very powerful, very rigid, very linear movement. The Hapkido punch is not as linear, not as rigid. We would step forward and use a whole body movement. In other words, our power of the technique comes from a hip movement, less from the physical strength of your arm. So from the power coming all the way up from my leg, up my body, and out through my hip, my arm even.
It actually looks like it starts from the end of your big toe and finishes on the end of your
definitely.
of
One
your knuckle.
fluid movement. Well, hips also very circular manner. Only the part when you're actually making contact is there any sort of need for any, I hate the word tension. Relaxed tension, it all means different things to different people. But after I've hit the target, then there's no need to be tense or anything, everything's over. So being able to be relaxed, that takes a long time practice. Still I'm practicing.
Still practicing, yeah.
I suppose one way of explaining the kicks, or different kicks, is thinking about how the body moves. The hips actually move in 3 different directions. You've got forward and back. We use that movement when we do front kicks. I haven't stretched at all. Second is maybe a thrusting from behind. Right?
Yeah.
So again, we side kick, right? Thrusting motion. The third motion is this motion of the hip movement. So we would use that more in the roundhouse kick.
After experiencing firsthand just how good Tammy is at joint manipulation, then observing the ease and accuracy with which she delivers potentially lethal striking techniques, I had acquired a healthy fear and respect for just how dangerous my fight with her was going to be. Wow, it's great to fight with somebody with such control, such attitude. There's techniques coming left, right and centre, and everything was very strong. Every punch, every kick. Thank God she's got control.
I see an instructor, it's almost like a parent's role, to help, oh, it sounds really cheesy, doesn't it, but to help grow up and to look after, to nurture, but also to, I don't know, just help them be more of who they are. I believe in them, I suppose. And I honestly love them, each and every one of them. It isn't something, oh, you should love your student, you should believe in them. No, I do, and I didn't have to think that, oh, I should do this. I totally care for them, and students do leave from time to time. They move away or whatever, and each time it's a wrenching feeling when that happens. But genuinely caring and loving them, I think, is how can anyone not blossom in that sort of environment, I think. But I don't go out to try and do that, it just sort of happens. In a way, you're a role model as well to your students. Your students are a reflection on who you are.
Hey!
I think for me, Tammy idealises what an instructor should be. One thing common I've seen to a lot of martial arts is the value of humility, and the fact is that I've seen a lot of clubs that talk about humility and being humble and talk about respect and being respectful, but it's only in very, very rare cases that I've actually seen it embodied by an instructor, and I think Tammy is probably the first real instructor that I've come across that embodies, the value of humility more than anybody else I've ever seen.
I feel a huge responsibility to my instructor to be the best that I can be, because I'm a reflection on him. And my students are also a reflection on him. And I suppose the love that I have for my instructor, I want to do my best so it fully shows people just how amazing he is. I want them to reflect him well.
Ball number 4, let me see.
Lots of people out there, they want to learn this or that or create whatever and things, and all I want to do is really fully show people my instructor's teachings. I've still so much to learn. Who am I to invent whatever or to do what? I just want to totally be able to share the teachings that he has taught me and to pass things on. And I hope that I do that with my students, and I hope that they will continue that process as well. I've also got my own personality. I'm also female and my instructor's male. So of course my personality is going to influence how I teach, and also the atmosphere of the school, etc., etc. So I'm not saying that I am nothing within this equation, but what I've learned is very important to me to almost feel like a custodian of something that I want to really be able to do justice to.
When you come back, relax, very relax.
Yes, sir.
I love to teach.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I remember being from being a team leader with the Prince's Trust, moving on to being one of their national trainers, and I loved being out. Again, it's seeing people learn and being being able to help that process. Wonderful. Love all the teaching side. And the great thing also about running your own school is not only the teaching, but also the admin, also the marketing. It's very interesting, lots of different jobs to do, lots of different, and I thrive on all of that.
I think one of the things about Tammy is that she's ruthlessly organised, isn't she?
The thing is, you want to dislike her in the sense she's lovely, she's kind, she's successful, she's all of these things, and you hear us talking about her, and I don't want her to come across as someone who is odiously perfect, because she's not. She's flawed, and she's funny, and she's gentle, and she has the sort of the situational equivalent of pratfalls. We all do. So she's got this lovely humanity about her as well. She's not just this stereotypical two-dimensional person who's got the world sorted. She's
human.
Yeah.
See, as I pull up, I sit down.
Just thinking, I don't know if it's appropriate to have this on camera. 4th degree black belt could slay you with a single look. She probably doesn't want people to know she's ticklish. So despite all of the techniques, every now and again, when I'm feeling a little intimidated, I know deep down I could get her. She might not forgive me for having that out there in the public. But
being a female martial artist is something I've never thought about too much until recently. People, you go to dinner parties, what it's like being a woman, and that hadn't really occurred to me. Hadn't occurred to me that I was a woman. I mean, that's so bizarre. But it just wasn't an issue. Of course, there were certain things on a physical, from a physical standpoint that possibly I found a little harder. As I said before, women have different hips to men, so certain things move in different ways. But as far as, and the strength-wise, sort of men are often a bit stronger. So women maybe have to learn the technique a little better because they can't rely on their strength. But as far as being a woman in, I suppose, what is a male-dominated career or world or whatever it is, it's just something that hasn't really occurred to me. I just loved what I did and wanted to keep doing it. With men, I often have to say that, don't be so strong, stop tensing so much. With women, I often have to say, come on, hit harder, hit stronger. So there's positive and negative on both sides. You are what you are, and deal with that and get better from that point.
I think I read somewhere once that a true leader, doesn't create followers. A true leader kind of creates other leaders, and I think what Tammy does is brings it out of you rather than forces it into you, if that makes sense.
So it's not that she tells you what to do, she gives you the headspace and the airtime for you to feel more confident about what you already know you're capable of. So she can kind of unlock potential, and you definitely saw that with the Prince's Trust. It wasn't her being a doctor and saying, now take this medicine and you'll be a better person. Same with the students. She creates an environment, and she did with me, where I could work it out for myself, then feel that she was going to support me the whole way.
Balance yourself there. Straight. Try not to keep turning your body. You don't have balance. Turn, get your balance there.
What martial art you do is not important at all. Whether you do judo, karate, hapkido, kung fu, a hybrid, whatever, that isn't important. The most important thing is finding the right instructor for you. Each instructor is going to have a different personality, they're going to have a different approach, and you need to go to the school, watch the class, meet the instructor, see how the students interact, and make sure that's you're very comfortable with that and that's in line with what you're wanting to get out of it. Whatever martial art you choose, you'll learn great physical techniques, but your relationship with your instructor, that's the most important thing. Fitness is incredibly important, so whatever you do, whether you run, whether you go to an aerobics class, whether you walk, whatever you do, it's so important for health. So of course, martial arts, of course, incredibly important for health and for fitness. The thing with martial arts is you're using your whole body, particularly in an art like Hapkido, you're not just kicking and punching, you're not just using your legs, but you're also throwing, you're using core strength, you're using all sorts of things. Also beyond that, I think, taught in a traditional manner, martial arts also have a philosophical mind-body side to it that maybe your average aerobics class possibly hasn't got. It depends who teaches it, but possibly doesn't have. The stories, the anecdotes, the philosophy make people think. It's also, I don't know, so it goes beyond just the physical nature into much more spiritual, touching at your core.
It's the complete package on this.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand that many people may find the way Tammy talks about love, while devoting her life to gaining mastery of a combat art, as being a little strange. But the truth of the matter, as any martial artist will tell you, is that as your understanding of the link between our everyday lives and the techniques and philosophies that underpin all martial arts grows, your love of life itself and everything contained within it grows in equal measure.